Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. We are doing a series called Sex Signs, and we are now on episode 18 in this series. We started off talking about some philosophical ideas, and one of the branches of philosophy is called phenomenology, where you just look at the phenomenon in front of you and try to understand it and play with it. So the phenomenon we're dealing with is sex and sex signs. What are the signs of sex? What's sex all about? And that's what we're delving into from all kinds of different aspects. I want to talk about now the breath. Our breathing in and out, abdominal breath, chest breathing, breathing. Breathing is a sexual act. You can look at it that way. The breath is like having sex. You breathe in and you breathe out. There's a rhythm. You take in and you give out. It's that in and out action that is very sexual. The breath occurs in ancient texts of God, if it's a religious text, breathing is spirit. Spirit is connected with breath, and it is through that breath, through that spirit, that creates. In the Hebrew Bible, it was the originating story that had the waters of chaos. The water would represent a woman, and God's Spirit hovered over the waters, impregnated the waters. So it was God having sex with Mother Earth, or Lover Earth. But it's not presented in sexual terms, it's euphemized. I don't even know if the Bible writers really had that in mind, but it's in the unconscious and the lovesious level, which is the basic level, that these things are going on. So even in the sacred rites of churches today, of religions today, you've got that substrate going on, which is always sexual. God's Spirit hovers over the waters. That's the way Genesis starts out that way. Which is a sexual act. It's alluding to the sexual act. So we can't get away from it. The only question is, how are we going to approach these signs of sex? Are we going to appreciate the holiness, the sacredness, the specialness, the earth-centeredness of sex, or are we going to not do that, and then we're going to be led down all kinds of different paths? And the broad path, in the traditional way of saying it, leads to destruction. And we don't have to look too far to see where we're going, destruction-wise. You know, we may destroy ourselves with a bomb, or we may turn the earth into one big prison, concentration camp. The Love Government opposes that. We want to turn it into a Garden of Eden. Another aspect of the sexual sign language is the eyes, and the gaze of the eyes. The eyes are very sexual. You can communicate your sex through the eyes. I am a man. If I can look you in the eye. Or if you're a woman, you say, I'm a woman. I can look you in the eye. And then there's an exchange. The eyes are sexual. Even women in cultures who dress in these black gowns and just are exposed on the face, like nuns, Catholic nuns, not so long ago. I was taught by nuns in the Catholic school, grade school, nuns. Their faces were just shown. But the face can be very, very sexual, because through the gazing of the eyes, energy is communicated. And then the eyes blink. So blinking also is a opening and a closing. The blinking when the eyes are closed is a resting state. When they open, they flash out light. That's like the orgasm or the climax. All of this is written into the body. The hand grasp is also sexual. The hands are sexual. The hands grasp the lover. They grasp the sexual organs, penis, or they caress the clitoris. The hands are sexual organs. And they resemble the sexual signs. The hand is like a clitoris in the sense it has 5 extensions, and it also, when you close it, you get this is a sexual sign. It's a vagina and a penis. These are all sexual signs. The thumb is a sexual sign of the clitoris, like the head of the clitoris, more or less resembles the clitoris, as does the tongue. Now, what I'm doing here is probably in our anti-love, anti-sexual culture, very strange. You're going into foreign territory and sometimes forbidden territory. But this is based on the way people used to, if you're in a love culture, used to relate. Not necessarily think, but relate in these type of terms. This was self-evident. These connections were made. The hand, talking about the hand, has 4 fingers and a thumb. 4 fingers and a thumb. What does that mean in sexual sign language? The fingers resemble the penis. The thumb, as I said, resembles the clitoris, especially if it's like this. It's the little nub, the bud, as they say, the bud, is like the head of the clitoris. People of a sexual-orientated, love-orientated mentality in nature, this would have been natural to them, whereas it may be very foreign and threatening and makes us feel uncomfortable because we're not really true sexual beings in a true sense. We've been corrupted by all kinds of things. With the hand, if you say hi or goodbye with your hand or handshake, this is really a sexual activity. So the 4 fingers and the 1 thumb are like 4 penises opposed to 1 clitoris. The hand is oppositional. The fingers and the thumb are oppositional. Now, is this pure utilitarianism? That when we were created, was it simply for utility? Certainly it was that. But behind that is some other purpose, and that is aesthetics, beauty, love, joy, happiness, as reminders of who we are, where we came from, and where we're going. It gets more towards literal thinking as opposed to clinical thinking. Clinical thinking is not about beauty, it's about utility. You go to a clinic and it's artificial, it's sterile, it's orderly, mechanized sometimes, and certainly monetized. There's money, big money involved in these clinics. Clinics are all hospitals, are big clinics. They operate on this scientific, mechanical understanding of things, as opposed to the aesthetic or the clinical. Now, clinics, clinical thinking is necessary. It's part of our life. Sometimes we need that. But if we are over clinical, over artificial, we've lost over half of our brain power. If we're just focused in the clinical area, if it's just about money, it's about law, it's about not getting sued, it's about getting insurance payments in order. What's that about? Is that about health? We call it health care, but there's not too much health in it. It's like disease care. So, if you're in a love state of mind, you begin to feel and see things that way. So, in the love culture, it took 4 penises to satisfy 1 clitoris. 4 fingers, 1 thumb. The penis develops from the clitoris. The small grows and becomes bigger. The seed develops into the flower. The acorn develops into the big tree, the oak tree. The smaller develops into the larger. So the small head of the clitoris in our perception develops into the larger penis. So just showing how the land lays in a larger philosophical, clitoral philosophy sense. Everything is sexual. Everything is lovingly sexual. Walking is sexual. When a person walks, they're conveying their sexuality, or they're suppressing it, or they're not aware of it, or they don't care. But it's there. Even if you don't care, it's still there. The clitoris, anatomically, which, by the way, is a clinical type of thinking. Anatomy books are quite clinical. So we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We do use clinical thinking, but then we put it in the context of love. So clinically, the clitoris has 2 legs. If you look at the anatomy books, male and female, the body of the clitoris of the man and the woman have 2 legs called crura. So I don't know how much sense this is making to you. It makes perfect sense to me, but I don't know. But anyway, that's not my problem. That's not what I'm attempting to do, to force anything on anybody. I'm putting the information out there so that somebody who is interested might take up on it. We don't know when that's going to happen. Maybe it'll be a year from now. Maybe it's 10 years. Maybe 100 years from now. But our responsibility as a man and a woman is to be that. And you can't be that unless you take into account your sexuality, which requires a sexual sign language. I'm going to sign off here again with this 18th episode with a sex sign. The sign of the crest, which is in the name of the lover, the mother and the father, a woman. Love, love, love.